listening to The Gender Rebels.
I'm Kathleen, a cis woman and ally.
And I'm Faith, a trans woman.
Gender Rebels is a question and answer podcast that explores life outside the gender binary.
A big thanks to our Patreon supporters.
If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/genderrebels. Hey everyone, I'm Kath.
And I'm Faith.
Faith, do we have any new patrons to thank?
We do. We've got so many to thank.
Yay.
Yay. We've got Danielle.
Danielle, thank you.
Danielle, thank you. Also, we ran into Danielle at the Philadelphia Trans Wellness Conference.
It was so great to meet you, Danielle.
Yeah, she came by our table. The very first person to come by our table, and we were all like so awkward. and our Danielle wasn't. She was very friendly, and Kath and I were like, wait, what? I don't know. Good, thanks,
I don't know
bye.
how to handle person in front of table.
We eventually loosened up. But Danielle, thank you for your patience. It was very lovely to get to know you.
Yes.
And yeah, I hope to, talk to you again. Other people. Joe P.
Thank you, Joe P.
I don't know if we met Joe. I don't recall, but we might have. Chloe.
Chloe, thank you.
Chloe, thank you so much. Hannah D.
Hannah D, you're the best.
Yeah, go Hannah D. Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. And lastly, Gay Gino.
Gay Gino, way better than straight Gino.
I think so.
100%.
Yeah.
Hey, Faith, I got a question.
Yeah, what's your question?
Why is the LGBTQ community important?
Oh, gosh. Well, I just mentioned the Philadelphia Transgender Wellness Conference.
Not the last time you'll be hearing about it today.
No, but we ended up there. We were there last week. And talk about being smack friggin' dab in the middle of the LGBTQ community.
Sure.
The queer community, the transgender community specifically.
Definitely.
Gender nonconforming community.
It was so gay. It was the gayest weekend I've had in a long
really
time.
gay. I wish I could go back to like my junior high bullies and be like, and they're like, "You're gay," and I can be like, "Yeah," but then one day my partner and I are going to go to the Philadelphia Trans Wellness Conference and have a table, and people are going to come by and be like, "We love your show," and it's going to be awesome. And then the bully punches me because that's pretty damn gay for
that's
a 11 or 12-year-old. Yeah, but gosh, the community is really important. And this is something, I'm an introvert. You are also an introvert.
Indeed.
We are both pretty heavy misanthropes.
That too?
Meaning we pretty much just despise humanity as a concept and think it was a rather bad idea and the planet might be better off without us. Again, I hold the opinion of look around, look at the evidence. Let's let tigers or someone have a go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're not naturally the kind of people who are like, let's join up in the community. And I had even gone to a few trans events, transgender events here in Brooklyn, and here in New York City. Some that turned out to be, let's hit on the trans girls meat markets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not fun.
Do you think Chasers organized it?
I think that one was organized by I don't know. That was a party that used to be called the Swans Party or something like that. It was
elegant.
Yeah, it was very hit on the trans girl party.
Gross.
Fat old creepy men.
Gross.
But I actually made some cool trans friends there. Met some friends off MySpace. Had a great time. It was wonderful.
All right then.
I've gone to some other group events. Some of them were like very young, 22-year-old college students who were very much in that college vibe, who I couldn't really mesh with.
Okay.
So it's been a few different things. And then others I went to were with like 50, 60-year-old people who were like, again, not really people I mesh with. It was hard. It's hard for me, one, to find anyone I get along with.
Sure.
Okay. Two, it's hard for me to find trans people I get along with because we've said this before on the show. Trans people are just ordinary people.
They're people. Yeah.
You're not, just because you have being trans in common doesn't mean you're automatically going to be friends. But.
And you don't really do like the gay chorus or the gay softball team leagues or like the other kinds of ways to meet
that is a frustrating thing as a trans person. And as a gay girl, is that it's gay men have dominated a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of organizations that tout themselves as LGBTQ, hey, come play LGBTQ kickball, or come to this LGBTQ meetup, or things, and it's all gay men. So,
I mean, in a lot of cases, and there are like lesbian meetups where we've had some luck.
There are.
Meeting very cool friends.
I know, that sounds like it sounds like we're hitting on people. Where we've had some luck with some lucky ladies.
Some luscious females.
Yes.
Were, let's just say, available
for friendship.
I creeped myself out. Ew, I'm sorry for all
so
my
we
gay
went
friends.
and got a delicious pizza pie. Anyway, so I don't know, but somehow I think when you get the Transgender Wellness Conference, 10,000 attendees, I think they said.
Yeah.
I find enough people to like. Actually, everyone there was fantastic, but why community matters? Let's get to that idea.
Mm-hmm. Even for the introverts and the misanthropes out
It does.
And the misfits.
It does. I'm definitely a misfit. I grew up a misfit, and I think a lot of queer people grow up misfits too. Yeah. We need community because, one, it's helpful to organize. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to taking action, group actions speak louder than individual actions.
Sure.
And quite frankly, the world is not exactly hunky-dory 100% of the time for LGBTQ folk.
Really?
Yeah, apparently there's some issues in places like Chechnya and America.
And the U.S., yeah.
So that's like one amazing thing. Mm-hmm. Connecting with people allows you to actually just
organize.
be able to be part of something, to have your voice amplified when it comes to activism, protests, voting, things like this. Mm-hmm. I also think community can be invaluable of just like knowing that you're not alone in your experience. Mm-hmm. I may not have everything in common with that 22-year-old trans girl who's talking to me about, I don't know, critical gender theory in Soviet films of the 1950s.
The intellectuals.
Right. Yeah, and I may not have anything in common with the, 65-year-old truck driver who loves to express their genderqueer identity, like, by going to meetups with, like, beautiful makeup and a wig and a pretty dress. So, like, I may not have anything in common with them, but superficially, but I do have some experiences in common. We both know what it's like to be part of that community. We both know what it's like to be treated like the way society treats trans and queer people.
Their struggle is your struggle.
Their struggle is your struggle. Yeah. And so it's interesting just to know that you're not alone.
That's the thing, I think. And for an introvert and a misanthrope, and a lot of people think about loneliness and what a problem it is, and that's actually not the case. It's solitude, and we treasure it. It is like jewels. But still, there is something to being among your people.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And we
sort
don't
of
need
the
it
comfort,
as much as
like,
extroverts, but we need it a little bit.
I fall back on the Kerouac quote that I absolutely love. And I've never read a Kerouac book. I just know this quote, and it's that I have nothing to offer the world but my own confusion. And I think that's often what trans people and queer people have to offer each other, is our own confusion. Just understanding and accepting that coming out and living your authentic life can be confusing is a huge thing. I remember I talked about Supergirl, the TV show Supergirl, and one of the characters, Alex Danvers, is gay, and her coming out. And so on the way back from Philly, I was watching this movie, First Girl I Ever Loved, which has got Xanthippe from Kimmy Schmidt.
Link down below.
Dylan Gelula, I think is her name.
Okay.
And it's just, I was bawling my eyes out on the way home from Philly. We were on a bus, and we were actually like near nearing New York City, and I had the headphones on. I had the movie, and it was just like, I was like hoping I could get to the end before we got home, and like in the last scene, I'm just bawling my eyes out, and it was because this teenage character who's coming out as a lesbian in this one is just so confused. Mm-hmm. And I just broke down because I dealt with so much confusion. And to see a movie or a TV show where a character deals with coming out with confusion and has to wrestle with, like, not knowing how this works, not knowing that this is normal, not knowing that they're not a freak, not knowing just anything. It's so confusing.
I don't know what this is.
Being heterosexual or being cis is like so standard in our society that even when you know in your heart you deviate it and you know it's a thing that it's hard to accept it.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm bawling my eyes out for a movie, to be able to talk to someone who's been through the same thing and knows every little bit about it as well, every detail, because they've had the same experience of just utter confusion themselves, is so invaluable. It's so powerful and meaningful and necessary to talk to someone who can tell you that you're not alone in this. Other people have experienced exactly what you've experienced. Other people have been through this. It is, we are a community because we've all shared these experiences. And I remember, you know, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, reading all these websites and talking to people on MySpace or Angel Fire or whatever, and talking to people and being like, getting their advice, asking them questions. What's it like to be on hormones? How do you get on hormones? It's, you know, asking them all these
basic things.
Yeah.
You had no idea.
And then turning around, and here I am, you know, barely into my transition, and having people come to me for advice. And it's this beautiful, like, moment where it's like the torch has been passed to you, Faith. Yeah. You are now the advice giver because you've been through a lot of this. And so that's amazing. It's just to have that connectivity to people.
And a lot of you listening now are going to be that person for some kid. Someone's going to find you on Facebook or Reddit or Instagram or something and have questions, and you will help them because you've been helped. And Faith was helped, and that kid you help is going to help someone.
Yeah.
And the community is able to work together to help each other. And that's beautiful. And it's a little sad that it has to take place online so much of the time, or at an annual conference or any other conferences that happen. But it's a serious minority group, and it's not quite like, I don't know, churches or Masons or things that are larger institutions where you get to meet regularly. It's a little more sparse.
Yeah.
And scattered. And that's okay. It works just as well.
Yeah. It's just, having that community is so powerful.
And encountering it one-on-one. Because you can talk about the gay community in sort of an abstract way, and the gay community organized pride marches and communicated with the senator and blah, 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 blah. But for you person listening right now, to be in a room of people like you, that's what's amazing.
And let's look at the selfish reason to have community. Resources.
Go on.
I don't know every resource out there for trans people. Other people may. There could be a question I have, and that's the way I'm going to get the answer.
Are we talking about really good doctors or the most amazing electrolysis?
Doctors or electrolysis, or just being able to be like, who's a good surgeon for this? Is this surgeon a ripoff? What do you think of this? Just, it's invaluable. And
someone who can recommend good books, or cool YouTube videos, or awesome podcasts, or a great therapist.
I know an awesome podcast.
You do?
Yeah.
Is it This American Life?
It is actually it's called Wingnuttery
Wingnuttery.
It is a podcast all about the different types of wingnuts
Awesome.
and their history.
Oh my God, I gotta check that out.
I just listened to an episode about the AA-123 from American Industrial Products.
The one that they had to recall because it was cutting people's fingers.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we'll link down below to Wingnuttery. Awesome podcast. You should check it out.
Yes.
Other than that, podcasts are kind of shit.
No, the Gender Rebels is great.
Fantastic
podcast.
Transgender podcast on iTunes.
As per customer reviews. So, anywho, another thing about this is is education is a part of it, but also just being able to let your guard down.
Yeah.
Is so important, and just not have to until you are in a room with no one but people like you.
Yeah.
Just being able to just let that guard down and just not even worry about it.
Is it a dilution of attention? Is it some perceived enemy maybe who in any other case would see the trans girl and focus on her, and they would see a room full of y'all?
I don't know if it's trans people or anyone, but just having to have that armor up a little bit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think trans people in particular, because we all know that getting found out, getting clocked can be an unpleasant experience. I feel like we all kind of do have a little bit of armor up.
Sure.
All the time. And you can, in that situation, sort of let your armor down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, community, just absolutely invaluable. That's why I love the Philadelphia Trans Wellness Conference.
Mm-hmm.
I actually told Kath we can't do another episode about the Philadelphia Witch.
Here
we
we
just did the previous one about it, and now you want to make another one about it?
We have to wrap up about it.
Well, we can.
Well, how life-changing
that is actually
it is.
Something we experienced this weekend that shows the importance of community in a really major way.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you?
So, I mean, it's like a
what did you experience? You're out of the community.
I am
sort
out of the community.
You're a community adjacent. You're
exactly, yes. And have found the community to be very welcoming, even though, come on. Don't we hear from enough cis people throughout the day? I found it so amazing on two levels. And one was to meet our existing listeners and to hear from you and to hear about your experiences and how you've been helped and just to know that this podcast matters because, we've been doing it 3 years and it just sort of goes out into the ether and, we hope for the best and it does. And that's great. But the other thing that is amazing about the community and about the conference specifically was the opportunity to meet and loop in new listeners. And that's who I want to talk to right now because you listened to our spiel or you grabbed a coaster or a magnet or a sticker or a postcard or you won one of the pill boxes in the bingo game.
Or you took part in a 5-second dance party with us.
Or you had a dance party together or any of the things of the encounters. I got a message on Facebook today from someone who snuck up to the table and took a sticker because they like Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
And we were busy talking to other people, and they've been listening ever since, and they love the show.
Awesome.
So, I'm talking to you, the newbies. I'm just so happy you're here, and welcome to this podcast, and I hope you don't hate it, and it was great to see you, and maybe talk to you if we had the chance, or maybe you just stop by at some point. I hope you like it. But I also want to let you know what it is to be a Gender Rebels listener, or what it is to be a Gender Rebel. Number one, you have a responsibility to send us questions. Questions at genderrebels.com. We want to hear your input.
I don't think you don't have to.
Because the emails go to you.
I have a lot of we have a lot of email backlog. We're working on it.
That's true.
If you haven't gotten a response to something,
we're working on it. Sorry. Number two, there's outtakes after the outro credits. I'm not sure if people know that, but keep listening after the credits because in in some, but not all. There's outtakes. Number 3, sorry about the dogs barking in the background. We try to minimize that or edit it out. Sometimes it's impossible.
Sorry about the drip.
And today's drip. Yeah. We're not in a recording studio, in case you thought we were. And number 4, have fun. Go to the Twitter, go to the Facebook. You can find all the links. Talk to other people there. Post things. Ask questions. Just welcome to the community.
Yeah. And speaking of community, another great benefit of being in a part of the trans and gender nonconforming community is you can get called out on your shit. And I will say this, I have this natural inclination of when I see stuff that's really far liberal, like really far left wing, and I think a lot of it comes out of academia, where it's like, just certain things that I feel like are, what's the word in our society? It's just too PC or something. Okay. You know, like the idea of like, oh, okay, let's not wear perfume in case someone's sensitive to that or something like that. Sure. Where I'm just like, I kind of want to roll my eyes and be like, really? But then I like think about it for half a second. I'm like, you know what? That takes almost no effort on my part. And it could make someone else's experience better. And like, if I weren't part of the community, I would probably just be like rolling my eyes at all this stuff. Yeah. And other people who interacted with me would maybe have a less pleasant experience. Exactly. And so I think being part of the community is also getting called on your bullshit.
Yes.
I think that's an important thing. And we all need to be called on our bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's an invaluable tool. Oftentimes, it's your best friends who are the people who will call you out on your bullshit. Mm-hmm. But being part of the community, that's like, you know what? This little tiny thing you may not have thought about could actually have a huge effect on someone. I'm
gonna lay a truth bomb on you.
Yeah.
And honestly, it can be done nicely. It can be done rudely. It never feels good to get the truth revealed to you quite abruptly, but it's so healthy.
It is, and it's just a matter of like, all this stuff, all these people who are like, America's too PC. Mm-hmm. It takes almost no effort on your part and could brighten someone's day and make their life a little easier, and it's usually someone who has it way harder than you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing about the community. Other people have it way harder than you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that from a Schadenfreude perspective. Like, I'm not saying go out there and be like, other people have it harder than me. I'm winning transgender. Woo-hoo! Because we all know Jamie Clayton already won transgender.
Yeah, you can't beat her.
She won it. Sorry, guys. Laverne Cox is, like, nose to nose with her, though. So we'll have to see how that one ends up. But, yeah, they're already winning. Don't worry about it. Yeah. You're not going to win. No, it's actually... I'm actually at 1,224th.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. You're getting there. We'll see. No, it's not a contest. No one's winning. It's the idea that it helps you put things in perspective. I didn't exercise once, because the concept of privilege, that was something that made me roll my eyes once upon a time. I was like, privilege, really? We're going to sit here and have like a suffering Olympics and see who's winning the suffering Olympics?
And make perfectly normal, nice, white, cis, hetero guys feel bad for something that's out of their control. What a waste of time.
Yeah, so when I first heard about the concept and read about it, I was like, I roll my eyes a little. And now it's like something I accept because it's true. Mm-hmm. And Kath explained it to me. It's like video games. It's like playing on easy versus playing on hard. Mm-hmm. And no one is at fault, and we are also all at fault when it comes to the way society functions. But you have... I sat down and I wrote every bit of privilege I've ever had in my life. And this is something I really encourage other people to do, is sit down and just think about it. Because you'll find that so much in your life, so many things that benefited you were completely out of your control and involved no effort or skill or strength on your part. And you benefited from them. And so seeing other people who don't have that same level of privilege, who are dealing with 1,000 times more shit than you have ever even thought about dealing with, that puts your own life in perspective, and I think can be a humbling experience for you, and hopefully opens your eyes to the fact that you can listen to these people who have less privilege than you. Listen to their experiences. Listen to them. I'm not going to say help them solve their problems, because you can't, but listen to them first and foremost. Just listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest, most important thing. And just put your own stuff in perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that can be a real interesting focus, you know, like when there's just like a million kaleidoscope photos and they all just sort of slide into one in focus photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it can really kind of do that for you and make you go, I should be really a lot more thankful, and I should be listening to other people more.
And also, you have a unique insight into their challenges because you share one of their challenges. If you're talking with a transgender person, you're white and they're a person of color, you have something in common. You know some of what they're going through, but not all. And that holds the same for people with who have experienced homelessness, or people who have physical disabilities, or any of the other extra challenges that can go on top of it. You can be an advocate. You can do your part. I'm not saying you have to, but as someone who is in the same community as them, the LGBT community or the trans community, you are able to use the privilege that you do have if you are so inclined to do that.
Yeah, no, I think being an advocate is absolutely important. Listen to what they have to say, listen to what they need, and be an advocate for that. Stand up when you hear people saying inappropriate things.
Yeah.
So that is, of course, invaluable. So here's the last question, I think. And then we can just talk about Philly. Post-credit scene, just ranting about how much we love Philly. How do you get to be part of a community? How do you find this community? And I think we live in a wonderful, wonderful world where we have access to a worldwide web of computers and
all the internet,
interconnected network.
Yeah.
You can find groups in your area. You can find people in your area. It may not be an area where logistically, you're capable of meeting up regularly, but you can at least talk to other people in your area and find other people in your area. And you may not have the ability to go to something like the Philadelphia Trans Wellness Conference, but there are events in your area, there are groups in your area, or hopefully in an area nearby. If not, just talking to people or connecting with people online can be so important.
Worst case scenario, maybe you live out in the boonies and driving to the capital city in your state for one of the meetups, maybe that's not feasible all the time. And that's where online friends is going to come in handy.
Yeah. And I would encourage, if you have the resources, if you have the ability, try to go to a physical meetup. See if you can, because you may not click with everyone there. You may only click with one person, but that's still pretty awesome.
Totally.
And if not, try again another time, because it's my experience that these groups have high rotation because a lot of people can't go very frequently.
Yeah.
And so you may not connect with someone in October, but maybe in November there'll be like a bunch of new people there that you do connect with. And so
it takes persistence, and
it does.
And that sucks because it can get frustrating after a few, unproductive visits, or you go to the meetup where nobody shows except the host, and it's just the two of you. I mean, it happens, and that's the challenge.
Yeah.
Part of what you sign up for, I guess.
Yeah, but I would encourage everyone, value the community you have, search out the community if you don't, and so much strength we can draw from each other, and I think that's one of the fantastic things about the trans community.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. So what we've got next is right after we cleaned up at Philly, we had just finished 3 wonderful days of meeting all of you, some of you, and just talking to people and hearing their experiences and attending talks and workshops when we could. but for the most part, working at the table and meeting people.
Yeah, we even ate our lunch at the table 2 days.
We probably shouldn't have. We have like barbecue sauce all over the tablecloth now. So after we wrapped up, we recorded our thoughts. Here's a little bit of what we were thinking at the end of the conference. Again, it was so great to meet everyone we met. Some of you who we weren't able to meet, I hope we see you next year.
And to the one person, you know who you are. Thank you for the really awesome sculpture that you made.
Beautiful sculpture.
Someone made us a sculpture. I will have to get their permission to even say their name online. Yes. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. But yeah, it's a really awesome sculpture. So it's two hearts. It's two hearts. One's like a trans and one's a cis woman. And it's just beautiful. It's they welded two hearts together on like a steampunk stand. It's sitting up in our living room.
It's hard to describe, but it is so perfect and beautiful.
Hey, Faith, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
We just finished at the Philly conference. We packed up our table. We're wiped out and happy and sad at the same time. What are you thinking right now?
I am exhausted. But when we were packing up the table, I was like unexpectedly like really sad because the Trans Wellness Conference was over and it's not going to be happening for another year, and it's just it's such a wonderful thing. I feel like we met so many people and I didn't really get to hang out with anyone.
Yeah.
I feel like I really didn't get to make a real new friends. Like I feel like we talked to a ton of people who were cool.
Yes.
But I do wish I would have gotten a better chance to socialize. I feel like we socialized a lot more last year, and I think having the table sort of prevented us from socializing a little much. And I think also being exhausted from having the table. Because you and I are both introverts.
Yeah.
And so, like, being at the table and just talking to people all day long, I think got us both exhausted.
Even though it was 100% universally great.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I loved every single one of you who we met. And those of you listening now who we couldn't meet, if we had met you, we'd have had a blast. We'd have loved you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about introversion, I think.
Yeah, it is. And so by the end of it, we were just kind of exhausted. So it wasn't like... So I feel like, socially, like I did a little bit on the first night, but then like after that, like you were even wiped the first night.
I couldn't do anything the first night.
And I was like ready to go to sleep, but I was like, oh no, I'm powering through it because I want to socialize because I like meeting cool people and I like meeting cool trans people. And, and cool non-binary people and all that.
And we've made awesome friends in the past.
This is the richest pot of gold of cool trans and non-binary and gender not conforming people in the world. So like dip that ladle good and get some friends. So we did a little bit. I did a little bit of that, but I didn't really get to do as much of that as I would have liked. I felt like not having the responsibility at the table definitely made me a little more eager to sit and just talk with people more and get to know people more.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the 5-minute interactions we got, awesome though they were, didn't really give me a chance to like really get to know people as well as I would have liked.
You know what I think the difference between this year and last year, other than the obvious being we had the table, was it enabled more interactions with more people, both current listeners and hopefully new listeners. Hey, welcome if this is the first one you're listening to because you saw us. So it allowed us to interact with more awesome people, but not spend as much time with them.
Yeah, it's like quantity versus quality, right?
Exactly.
Not that we didn't. It was actually really, that was the most amazing thing was, one, it was cool to meet new people.
Totally.
It's always cool to see all the whole spectrum of everyone who's here, and it's fantastic. But it's also cool to just all y'all, who came up to our table and we're like, hey, we love your podcast, so we're big fans, whatever. I'm not naming anyone's name.
Right.
Lest I accidentally forget anyone.
Or out someone. Come on.
Yeah, or out someone. But yeah, those were so meaningful to us. And it was just like, wow.
Like there aren't words to express the gratitude that we feel for people who came up to us and told us that we helped in some way.
That, they wouldn't have been able to come out to their spouse or wouldn't have been able to transition if not for this podcast. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what to do with that. That's like huge. I literally was telling Kath on the way back from the convention center to our hotel, I was like, I had that moment. I literally had this moment with Shirley Manson, lead singer of Garbage, most incredibly important to my teen years, and someone who empowered me in a way that I didn't know was possible to be empowered. I didn't even know feeling empowered was possible, and they gave me that. And so I wouldn't have been able to transition really if I hadn't had that source of comfort at that time. And I went up to her and I told her that, and I was all tears, and she was just, wonderful. And so I felt like I get to tell someone, I get to go up to someone in tears and be like, I wouldn't have been able to transition if it weren't for you. And then to have the reverse happen.
Exactly.
Have someone to come up to me. And it was just so wonderful.
You've fangirled at, and you've fangirled.
I know, right?
Then fangirled
and
at.
So it was just wonderful. It's, thank y'all. Thank you. And that was what everyone came up to thank us, and we're like, no, thank you, because you are really, the reason we do this. And that's true.
Thank you for making this all count.
We wouldn't have kept this going for 3 years plus, if we hadn't gotten such a great response from all our listeners. Right. And I'm sorry I haven't gotten to everyone's emails yet. Yes. I have like a giant folder of emails I have yet to respond to. So if you've written that I've not yet responded, we will respond. We've got to get through it. So
we will.
And it's not always in the order in which it's received.
It's true.
Sometimes you'll send me an email and it's just like I happen to be in that moment and be like, oh, I know the perfect answer and I have the energy to answer. And other times I'm like, I can't. This is going to work. And home life and dishes and walking dog. No, I'll deal with that when I get to it. And so we have, we have such great response from so many awesome fans. We got to meet new people, and it was wonderful. I'm actually like crying a little bit as we record this because it is just so wonderful.
And we know our existing fans are listening now, and that is awesome. But I have a message to the people who encountered us for the first time at the 2019 conference, and you are just starting on your Gender Rebels journey. Welcome home. We're so happy to have you. Join the party, join the family, communicate with us, send us questions, tell us when we get it wrong, tell us when we get it right. You're one of us now. Welcome.
Welcome. Willkommen.
Willkommen.
Bienvenue.
Bienvenue. All right, everyone. Sorry about the late release of this week's episode. We had some stuff going on. Your patience is so appreciated.
We were busy Thursday.
We were pretty busy. And then we were very tired Thursday. Y'all, we will talk to you next week.
Yeah, this is just a quick kind of just helping us like unpack. Oh my gosh, we just literally finished the conference 5 minutes ago, and it was like unpacking the table, like packing up the table, undoing the tablecloth and everything, and it was just, it hit me emotionally hard in a way I had not expected. Yeah. Because quite frankly, it was
such a great time.
It is this conference, and I'm sure there's others, of a similar nature, but this is the one I know, so I will speak to it. Just such a wonderful time. It's such a welcoming environment. It's such a friendly environment, and it's just such a beautiful place where it's a space where trans and non-binary and gender non-conforming people can just be ourselves. Yeah. And relax and kind of let our guard down a little bit. And it makes me sad that I have to wait another year, I'm also sad because I didn't really get to go to any talks because we were at the table. I tried to go to a couple, but even then I was like, I was a little fidgety. Yeah. I'm a fidgety person, and I have to kind of get up and move around. So sitting at the table, so by the time I would get up and be like, I don't want to sit here, I just want to walk around. Yeah. So I haven't actually gotten a chance to I have a lot of pent up energy from this. So
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. But it's such a wonderful thing, and I'm sad that it's another year.
But we will see you next year, 2020.
All right, everyone.
I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep making more great content, go to patreon.com/genderrebels,
We have many different levels of support and lots of great rewards.
including Drinks with the Gender Rebels at Stonewall.
Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. That makes it easier for other people to find us.
And send your questions to questions@genderrebels.com or find us on Twitter @thegenderrebels.
Music for the Gender Rebels is by Jasper the Colossal. Follow the link down below or download them on iTunes today.
And for all our episodes, visit genderrebels.com.
The Gender Rebels is a Comeback Sync production, copyright 2019. All rights reserved.
And to all you gender rebels out there, keep rebelling.
Bye.
Bye. I remember it was like, I talked about Supergirl, the TV show Supergirl, and one of the characters, Alex Danvers, is gay, and her coming out, it's a drip.
I know what it is. I just worried it'll pick up on the microphone.
I am sure it's picking up on the microphone.
Guys, we have a drip. Our upstairs neighbor has an air conditioner.
Do you want me to go out and put a sponge under it?
Really sorry. No, it's fine.
Okay, do you want to try to record somewhere else?
Nah.
Okay. So...
We have to put up with it. Y'all have to put up with it.
Yeah. And so on the way back from Philly, I was watching this movie. First Girl I Ever Loved.